Nelson is a licensed lender under the California Department of Corporations, NMLS 331060.
This is Nelson from Nelson Radio, and it's important that we talk about a very serious issue. We had bad lending practices that led to the mortgage meltdown, but now we've got the challenge of deplorable customer service coming out of the meltdown. Bottom line, getting a new loan can be like pulling teeth without Novocaine. I've got the solution. Academy Mortgage and my team are injecting into the industry real performance and real accountability. Here are the facts. Appraisals in less than a week. Rate guarantees that can improve if the market goes down. Purchase transactions with our market-exclusive close-on-time guarantees and refinance transactions in as little as 30 days. Who would have thunk? Guaranteed rates and guaranteed performance from your mortgage lender. Call me, Nelson, an accountable loan expert for nearly 3 decades, direct at 888-888-2136. That's Nelson at 888-888-2136, 888-888-2136, or at strongcreditrewards.com.
Nelson.
Good gravy.
A radio host.
Found myself 2 million short of a millionaire.
Barely understandable.
Gee, Monetti.
We can rebuild him.
Guy's bright as a napkin.
We have the technology.
You gotta work with design, vision, and focus.
Better than he was before.
It's not lonely in my head.
Funnier.
I'm staring at a bowl of spaghetti trying to figure out which two ends come together.
More informative.
Characters defined by what you do once you screw up, not if you make mistakes along the way.
And just as sarcastic.
You sausage.
Oh, come on!
Give us 60 minutes and we'll give you Nelson Radio every Saturday from 2 to 3 p.m. on KTLK AM 1150. With 29 years in the mortgage business and an array of top-level guests visiting the show, Nelson is in a unique position to bring you cutting-edge information on real estate, business, finance, and law. If you have any questions for Nelson or any of his guests, give him a call at 888-888-2136. That's 888-888-2136. Or check him out online at nelsonradio.com.
Nelson Radio.
KTLK AM 1150, you're back with Nelson Radio, and this is Nelson. I'm with my special guest host, Beth Stein. She's back in studio with us. It's the delight of this week, I'm certain. How are you?
Good, Nelson. Hi, how are you?
That's a good intro, huh?
I think it's fantastic.
Always excited to have you in studio, and you're going to be, I've told you this before, I don't know how to describe this any other way than, to me, your comfort food. Now, I just feel comfortable around you. And here I told you last night that my son climbed onto a plane. He's on his way flying over through Johannesburg into Malawi.
That's right.
To go backpacking through the outreaches of Malawi, visiting one village to the next. And an unbelievable experience for a 19-year-old man traveling solo and having this huge life adventure. And so you said, hey, no big deal. He'll be fine. He's 19.
He will be. He's a smart kid. He's got a good head on his shoulders. I think he's going to have a blast.
An exciting trip for him. And so he's somewhere
really
over the Atlantic right now, I think still with about 8 hours in front of him, about 26 hours of total flight time. So it's a long, long trek.
It's a brutal flight. So just you're sending a big high five out there to Tate.
A big high five out to little man. So with that in mind, we're talking this show about perspective, and it's going to be really insightful. We have some dynamic individuals that are joining us. Ceitci Demirkova. I'm going to try and get her last name. I'm just going to call her Ceitci. She instructed me to do that.
Demirkova.
But she's at the helm of Changing a Generation and the Pacific Institute with doing just that, making broad worldwide changes. And it's really going to be incredible to hear her testimony. And then also Kelly Johnson, our legal expert out of the bankruptcy sector. And he's going to be also looking at perspective. People that have entered into bankruptcy think that their financial world has ended, and those exiting out of bankruptcy under their coaching also learning that, hold on, there's a new perspective coming out of their new normal.
Right.
And then in Coach's Corner, you are going to be intrigued by this. We have a World War II prisoner of war.
Wow.
20-year-old B-17 pilot that flew missions, air raids over Germany, shot down on his 9th mission. He's going to share with us his story, and I guarantee you, your walkaway is now that's perspective.
Yeah, I was going to say, talk about a perspective, talk about a way to face life and look at life in a completely different way and with experiences that nobody else has.
Exactly. So a tremendous show coming up. This segment of Street Noise is brought to you by our legal partner, OC Wills and Trusts. Being prepared for your family, and that's exactly what we all need to be doing. We want you to call with any of these segments with questions, clarifying issues that you need us to give you more direction on. Reach out direct, 888-888-2136. That's 888-888-2136. And Beth, with Street Noise, we really do have some interesting perspective with our next guest. Who is it?
We absolutely do. His name is Jeff Culbertson, and he's executive Vice President for the entire southwestern region of Coldwell Banker Residential Brokerage, as well as being the president of the Greater LA, Southern California, actually all of Southern California, but it's Greater LA, Orange County, the Desert, Inland Empire, San Diego. The man is wearing so many hats that he could probably put that one on too.
He's got to carry 2 cards, one for his name, one for his title.
It's crazy. Jeff, you're the busiest man in real estate. You're the James Brown of real estate.
Hey, Jeff, welcome to the program. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
So obviously, as you heard, the show is on perspective, and there's an obvious and documented rush to real estate. We've gone from real estate that was bad and evil to now nobody can get enough of it. And I just wanted to get your feeling, get your response on leading the Coldwell Banker organization from not dormancy, but certainly a quiet period as we went through the Great Recession to now this lights out, controlled pandemonium. What's it like?
Well, it's a great question. One of the things that we try and do in our jobs here is, one of the things that people told me in leadership, you try and look around corners, and sometimes that's a lot easier to say than it is to do. But where we are right now is the market itself, as you say, it's extremely brisk. I was watching a segment on CNBC this morning. One of our top agents, Jade Mills, was interviewed on CNBC, and one of the questions that was asked of her is what's happening in her market, and she works the Beverly Hills market. And she put it really well when she said, if a property's priced well, and right now, even if it's not priced well, we're seeing multiple offers. But one of the things that will happen eventually is the market will return to a more normal market. And we're starting to see that in different spots where, houses on busy streets aren't selling overnight. And that's usually a pretty good signal that we're returning to a more normal market. So right now, the word I would use, the 2 words I would use would be to slow down. If you're looking to buy a property right now, you're looking to sell a property, make sure you have a good realtor, make sure you have good people assisting you with all the different aspects of purchasing a home, and do it right. There's a reason that people have said for years, haste makes waste. So what we see happening right now is the market is still real brisk in most of our markets, from Montecito down to La Mesa and San Diego, but there are some pockets starting to return to a more normal market.
As the market starts to pick up, and it has, we've enjoyed a nice increase in the market, and it was a severe overcorrection. We've actually now started to see a lot of new agents coming back into the real estate business or coming into the real estate business for the first time. And so, Jeff, he is the man's an amazing trainer. First of all, let me tell you, he's incredible. But can you provide a specific example of managing all the new agents that are coming into the Coldwell Banker family?
One of the things that I think in all things in all companies start at the top, and I've said it many times that I think the most important role in this company certainly isn't me sitting in this chair. It's the people that run our training. And in order to do well in any business, you need a good training program. And real estate has changed so much in the last 30 years. So I think what we do especially well at Coldwell Banker is when we bring people in, we talk about what they can become, not simply about, what they're going to get. And we share with the people when they come in that, it takes a lot of work. It's not as easy as it looks sometimes from the outside. We have 2 or 3 weeks of training that we put everybody through, and then there's ongoing weekly training for the next year or so in all of our offices. Everything from the legal side of the business to the obviously the sales aspects of the business, and the contract as an example 30 years ago, as you know, Beth, was 2 pages.
Mm-hmm.
Today we can have as many as 50, 60, 70 pages.
So we've got 25% year-over-year appreciation approximately in Southern California, and that's great, but it's not really sustainable. So what do you think is around the corner for our real estate market, and how would you coach the frustrated home buyer?
Well, the frustrated home buyer, again, slow down, patience. Patience will win the day. We saw interest rates bump up to 4 and 1/8, 4 1/4. It depends on who you're talking to, and with what Mr. Bernanke said today, we probably will see rates moving, edging up more in the next several weeks. So I think what will happen again is we're seeing pockets of a return to a more normalized market. If I were advising, and actually my daughter just purchased a condo in Irvine, and I told her the same thing I would tell any person looking to buy a property right now is just make sure that you end up buying where you want to be. Sometimes in these brisk markets, people buy for different reasons than the number one reason, which is if it's a property you're going to live in, make sure you actually want to be there.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Jeff. I really appreciate your giving us your time today.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me on the show.
Thank you, Jeff. That's Jeff Culbertson. We're in Street Noise, brought to you by our legal partner, OC Wills and Trust Attorneys, protecting your family in advance of a crisis. Call us direct, 888-888-2136. That's 888-888-2136. I'm with my guest host, Beth Stein from Coldwell Banker. We'll be back in just a minute.
The Nelson Show is brought to you by Best Chauffeured. Best Chauffeured offers personal chauffeur services for corporate events, large and small, and all types of people, not just celebrities. So next time you just want to relax and enjoy the ride, please call on Best Chauffeured Worldwide. It's effortless transportation and first-class service every time. Call 866-323-BEST. That's 866-323-BEST or online at bestchauffeured.com. Mention KTLK's Nelson Show and receive a special discount. 866-323-BEST or online at bestchauffeured.com.
Insurance Incorporated are the residential and apartment insurance experts. Unlike agencies that represent one carrier and can only provide one quote, Insurance Incorporated has appointments with the nation's leading insurance carriers, giving you the power of choice. This means more options and savings for you, offering coverage that's both comprehensive and affordable. Their policies for apartments include protection against loss or rents, accusation of wrongful eviction and wrongful entry, vandalism, theft, and slip and fall claims. Show your value as a property manager by being proactive, saving your clients' money and protecting their assets. They can even assist your tenants with renter's insurance. And homeowners, they can save you up to 40% on premiums, including often overlooked liability coverage. Insurance Incorporated are the residential and apartment insurance experts. Call.
This is Nelson from Nelson Real Estate Radio, and I want to have a very serious conversation with you. Let me paint the word picture. The drinks were innocent enough, just relaxing with friends. Really, I felt fine. Being drunk wasn't even a consideration. Then the rearview mirror lights up with the blue and red. The arrest, cuffed, and in jail. Really? Me? All too frequent, we wish in the somehow, someway category for a do-over, a mulligan to make a different decision. Let me introduce you to Orange County's office of Michael L. Feld. Nearly 2 decades serving in the Orange County District Attorney's Office as a prosecutor, now fighting for your rights in criminal defense. Recognized as one of Orange County's top 5 criminal defense attorneys, ready to represent you against his former colleagues. Save the embarrassment, the potential conviction, the record, the possible loss of job. Call Mike Feld direct for your legal mulligan, a chance to make it right. 949-278-5559. That's 949-278-5559 for the law office of Michael L. Feld. 949-278-5559, or you can text the letters OCDUI to 313131. Welcome back to Nelson Radio. I'm with my guest host, Beth Stein from Coldwell Banker, recognized as an industry leader. How do you like that?
That's what they say.
That's the best. This segment brought to you by Best Chauffeured, worry-free and on-time limousine transportation services worldwide. And that's a great lead-in. I don't know if they're servicing Bulgaria, but we have in studio with us
yes, we do.
An incredible story. This young lady, her name is Ceitci, and she has an organization, Beth, called Changing a Generation. And it's just going to be a fabulous, I'm not going to intro her, but it's a fabulous testimony in terms of somebody that has a North Star, and it's a magnificent vision in terms of not just what can I get for me. You know, there's so many people in Southern California that operate on the take, never give, take.
I mean, my.
Exactly. And so it's just a fantastic story coming up here. If you have questions or you want to reach out to any of our guests, you can reach Beth and I direct through 888-2136. You can call us at 888-2136 or go to nelsonradio.com and you'll be able to click through. So without that introduction, what do you think? First time I've ever had a guest that I didn't introduce.
I think she will speak for herself. This woman, first of all, I wish you all could see her. What you will see her, she's stunning. And she gives off this energy and this aura. And you know she's got something powerful to say and something powerful to give people just in her presence. So I think she's going to be a very cool guest. I'm very excited to hear what she's got to say.
Well, and Ceitci, welcome to the program. And where I want to start with you is how you first showed up in the U.S. $100, $150 as an 18-year-old girl in a foreign country, no relationships, no family here. What was that like?
Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you, Nelson and Beth, for having me. I'm very excited to be on the show today and to be a part of this. First of all, I just wanted to encourage the listeners, when you are 18 and you start off with a big vision and a big dream, you don't exactly think about all of the obstacles and all of the challenges and the details that will come your way. And I've always gone by this principle. If you read all of the books in the world and they all tell you what you cannot do, I'm always the opposite. I go and do the exact things that everybody tells you can't do. And I was very shy, very insecure person growing up in Bulgaria, fainted in front of everybody. So for me to be doing what I do in front of thousands of people every single week in running my nonprofit organization and speaking, it has been just a turnaround of my entire life. But it all started with actually coming here and finding my way. I came by myself, just like Nelson introduced me, at age 18, $100 in my pocket, 100 words of English, with a big dream and excited to change the world by the time I was 21. So that's how it all began. And now
I thought when I met you and you fainted, I took that as a compliment.
Yeah,
What?
She didn't say, but I didn't hear her say she fainted when she met you.
Not exactly. I fainted in Bulgaria.
Yeah.
Growing up under communism, it's a different story. Right. You live with a lot of fear, a lot of oppression.
Right.
People don't know who they really are, what they can accomplish. And part of my upbringing was I really didn't have a purpose in my life. And when I discovered that purpose, and that is to be able to help and influence people from any walks of life, from any background, any countries, that they can rise to be everything that they want to achieve and that they can aspire to without any boundaries, because the only boundaries that we have are really in our mind.
Self-imposed.
Exactly. And whatever we have believed as truth in our mind is what keeps us actually from not being able to accomplish the things that are set before us. And when I first arrived here, I had to be faced with the fact of how am I going to survive every day? Who's going to provide for me? How am I going to make sure that I live 10 years from now? And you become very creative when you're in the middle of a need, when you are basically dropped in a different culture, different mindset, different things that you have a lot of things in America, but that doesn't mean that people use those things. It doesn't mean that they implement them in their life. And I made it a goal that I'm going to keep the best of my Bulgarian culture that I have learned, and that was discipline and perseverance and how to endure hardships and take the opportunities that America offers and combine them together and say, let's show a generation that is of young people, or a generation that is lost in poverty and insecurities, of how to really become more enabled to not just do something for themselves like we were talking about, but to really make a difference that impacts generations to come. So that's how it all started, and it has definitely been a journey.
So changing a generation, which I love that whole concept. Part of it is focused on human trafficking. So why is that so important to you and relevant in today's world? Tell me a little bit about that.
Correct. Human trafficking is just one of the initiatives that Changing a Generation actually does. And just as a preview to the listeners who have never actually been exposed to Changing a Generation, our focus is on solutions by identifying the need, and by providing food, education, safety, and self-sustainability. We basically change a generation from living as victims of poverty to people who are purpose-filled and win despite obstacles. And so when we look at a culture of poverty, for example, Bulgaria, because it is my home country, and we see that 52% of the children at the moment are in risk of poverty, of growing up in poverty. We have been labeled by the European Union at the moment as the poorest country in the European Union. And so with that in mind, poverty is number one reason why a lot of people sell their children into prostitution, sell their children into forced labor, or they even sell their own babies the moment they're born just so that they can feel like they can survive. And I do want to say one thing here about the human trafficking. It does influence 161 countries in the entire world.
And Bulgaria is leading the EU, the European communities, in human trafficking right now.
Correct. Bulgaria, Greece, Romania, those three countries are one of the top countries in Eastern Europe that are very much influenced by human trafficking, primarily because of illegal things that go on within the nations. But if you even think about America, I mean, America is one of the receiving countries. There is at the moment 98 transit countries and 137 destination countries in the entire world, according to the United Nations report that was just released this February 2013. And basically it gives the overview of the fact that every single nation and every single person, starting from what we eat, the clothes we wear, the shoes we wear, to everything we do, is influenced by the trafficking around the world.
That we're going to break right now for a short advertising break, but I want you to stay with us if you would, and we want to ask a couple more questions to find out what you're doing to make this difference.
Sure.
You're listening to Nelson Radio right now, and we have Ceitci, the leadership of Ceitci in changing a generation and combating human trafficking by changing the next generation. I want you to stay with us. Contact us direct at 888-888-2136. That's 888-888-2136. We'll be right back. This is Nelson from Nelson Real Estate Radio, and I want to have a very serious conversation with you. Let me paint the word picture. The drinks were innocent enough, just relaxing with friends. Really, I felt fine. Being drunk wasn't even a consideration. Then the rearview mirror lights up with the blue and red. The arrest, cuffed, and in jail. Really? Me? All too frequent, we wish in the somehow, someway category for a do-over, a mulligan to make a different decision. Let me introduce you to Orange County's office of Michael L. Feld, nearly 2 decades serving in the Orange County District Attorney's Office as a prosecutor, now fighting for your rights in criminal defense. Recognized as one of Orange County's top 5 criminal defense attorneys, ready to represent you against his former colleagues. Save the embarrassment, the potential conviction, the record, the possible loss of job. Call Mike Feld direct for your legal mulligan, a chance to make it right. 949-278-5559. That's 949-278-5559 for the law office of Michael L. Feld. 949-278-5559, or you can text the letters OCDUI to 313131.
The Nelson Show is brought to you by Best Chauffeured. Best Chauffeured offers personal chauffeur services for corporate events, large and small, and all types of people, not just celebrities. So next time you just want to relax and enjoy the ride, please call on Best Chauffeured Worldwide. It's effortless transportation and first-class service every time. Call 866-323-BEST. That's 866-323-BEST or online at bestchauffeured.com. Mention KTLK's Nelson Show and receive a special discount. 866-323-BEST or online at bestchauffeured.com.
Everyone loves a good mystery, but that's hardly the case when you're in a real estate transaction. With Title365.com, the mystery behind title insurance and escrow services has been kicked to the curb. You gain instant access to status and downloadable documents. Want customized real-time order information and documents as they happen 24/7, 365? No problem. And for the first time, Title365 is bringing together leading professionals working on your real estate transaction, so the process is even more transparent and efficient thanks to up-to-the-minute communication. You can even retrieve contact information for leading professionals offering real estate and home-related services right in your own community and learn more about title insurance all in one convenient place. Be sure to ask your local realtor, lender, or escrow officer about Title365 or visit Title365.com. Mystery solved.
Welcome back to Nelson Radio on KTLK AM 1150. We're broadcasting from our Burbank studios, and we still have in studio Ceitci from Changing a Generation. Follow-up question for you. This segment brought to you by Insurance Incorporated, professional and courteous insurance services. Reach us by calling direct. 888-888-2136. That's 888-888-2136. Ceitci, thanks for staying with us. And I wanted to ask this question because you've introduced us to the issue of human trafficking, which is not just sex trafficking, it's also labor trafficking, and it affects babies from birth forward or kids that are in their family unit and being splintered off and sold into whatever. Tell us what you're doing to make a difference and change that generation.
Well, one of the main things that we're doing currently, specifically in Bulgaria, is working with the educational system of the nation. 1.2 million children that are going to school. They can have a better education in understanding who they are, how their self-esteem is actually influenced by the environment around them, and how by changing the way they think about themselves and changing their level of self-esteem and self-efficacy, they can actually become more productive, more efficient in the society, and reject the so-called opportunities of accepting a job abroad and falling into the trap of potential human trafficking. That's one of the ways of working with the educational system, and also educating the parents, especially that are coming from the gypsy background, in not risking their children's lives for the sake of their own, or to redeem the rest of the kids that they have. So one of the things that we do is educational seminars, and also we provide food and clothing and school supplies for the children to be able to go to school. So that's done through monthly sponsorships.
You know, Beth, we have to have Ceitci come back and share with us not only this world impact, this global initiative in terms of changing a generation, but also what she's doing with the Pacific Institute, in an organization that's engaged with this kind of issue, but is also at home here working with different businesses and organizations. We got to have her back, huh?
Absolutely. We have to have her back. And this story has to be told and expanded on and told again and told again and told again.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Ceitci.
Thank you so much.
I really appreciate your testimony and being here with us. You know, the other storyline that I wanted to share with all of us is what we experienced. We recorded this earlier, but it's with a prisoner of war from World War II, Ed Stapleton.
It's a remarkable story.
20-year-old B-17 pilot flying missions over Germany, flew 9 of them, and on his 9th was shot down, didn't return, woke up as he was wafting down into enemy territory after his plane was cut in two. Listen to this incredible story.
We went in and dropped down to 13,000 feet, and we had a chase plane go ahead of us and drop a smoke marker on the target, and we bombed on the smoke. At this time, we were successful. But as we were pulling out, we were attacked by about 27 Focke-Wulf aircraft. And they came in 2 waves. The first wave of about 15 came straight on and sort of raked the left side of our plane, hitting the chief engineer and my bombardier. And they were both killed in the plane. unfortunately. There was shrapnel rattling around all through the cabin. But we survived that, and we're pulling out at about 14,500 feet. We encountered a second wave, and they hit between the two right engines, and the outboard engine was completely shattered, and the inboard engine, a couple moments later, dropped all its oil, 35 gallons of oil in that engine, and it froze. So we had a tough shot on the right side, and the plane tended to go into a spin. Fortunately, we were able to get most of the rest of the crew out, and we then parachuted through the bomb bay doors. However, when you pull the emergency on the bomb bay doors, they just flap back and forth. So what happened, I evidently hit the flapping bomb bay doors and don't remember, honestly, pulling the ripcord. So, but evidently I did, subconsciously, and ended up coming down into some trees. Spent a couple of days on the ground heading northward, heard dogs from the guards and so forth in the ground looking for it. We ended up heading 2 days later being caught by a forest ranger. He took me into the Burgermeister's office, and his wife, when she opened the door about 6:30 in the morning, she was aghast. I was all blood, didn't know it, but she cleaned me up pretty good, gave me some coffee and some cereal, and here comes the Luftwaffe in a car, hauled me off to the interrogation center, and then I ended up in Stalag Luft 3, which was the site of the movie Stalag 17 with Steve McQueen.
Right. So, Beth, here's the incredible thing about Ed's sharing of that story, and it's phenomenal that he survived, number one.
Amazing.
And you think about a 20-year-old, I say a 20-year-old kid leading bombing runs and squadrons in air raids across Germany. I mean, that perspective alone. But the incredible story that he shared actually after our broadcast was talking about when he was brought in for interrogation. And he was speaking to the German officer, and Ed noticed that this German officer had a funny accent and asked him about that. And he said, well, actually, I'm from New Jersey. And this was a German that came over to the U.S. as a young man, went back to get his mom in Germany during the war, and as soon as he landed in Germany was brought right into the military.
Yeah, of course.
And so it turns out that he was from New Jersey, the very same town that Ed Stapleton had been raised in.
Oh, my God. I mean, and that, now you want to talk about perspective, that is perspective, because anything could have happened. Think about this. The plane's breaking apart, the engine's being blown apart, there's shrapnel everywhere, people are dying. Any other case, it's like kiss your behind goodbye. He not only lands, is knocked out, makes it to this farmhouse and then where he's taken care of, and then he's interrogated by anybody else from his hometown. But that this is luck. That is luck.
Well, and here's, as we go through and look at perspective, I'm going to bring this full circle because we've shared with Ceitci's story in terms of addressing human trafficking, right. Ed's story of surviving as a POW from World War II. And the follow-up question that I would love everybody to hear is Ed's response to the question of, all right, you're leading tours through the museum and you hear a sixth grader complaining that his dad got him a 4G iPhone instead of a 5G. Yeah. So that's perspective. We're going to round this out. You've been listening to Nelson Radio and Ed Stapleton. I'm here with Beth Stein. Call us direct, 888-888-2136, 888-888-2136. We're going to come full circle and talk about what it means right here in our business market in Southern California. We'll be right back.
Oh,
Everyone loves a good mystery, but that's hardly the case when you're in a real estate transaction. With Title365.com, the mystery behind title insurance and escrow services has been kicked to the curb. You gain instant access to status and downloadable documents. Want customized real-time order information and documents as they happen 24/7, 365? No problem. And for the first time, Title365 is bringing together leading professionals working on your real estate transaction, so the process is even more transparent and efficient thanks to up-to-the-minute communication. You can even retrieve contact information for leading professionals offering real estate and home-related services right in your own community and learn more about title insurance all in one convenient place. Be sure to ask your local realtor, lender, or escrow officer about Title365 or visit Title365.com. Mystery solved.
This is Nelson from Nelson Real Estate Radio, and I want to have a very serious conversation with you. Let me paint the word picture. The drinks were innocent enough, just relaxing with friends. Really, I felt fine. Being drunk wasn't even a consideration. Then the rearview mirror lights up with the blue and red, the arrest, cuffed, and in jail. Really? Me? All too frequent, we wish in the somehow, some way category for a do-over, a mulligan to make a different decision. Let me introduce you to Orange County's office of Michael L. Feld. Nearly 2 decades serving in the Orange County District Attorney's Office as a prosecutor, now fighting for your rights in criminal defense. Recognized as one of Orange County's top 5 criminal defense attorneys, ready to represent you against his former colleagues. Save the embarrassment, the potential conviction, the record, the possible loss of job. Call Mike Feld direct for your legal mulligan, a chance to make it right. 949-278-5559. That's 949-278-5559 for the law office of Michael L. Feld. 949-278-5559, or you can text the letters OCDUI to 313131.
Nelson is a licensed lender under the California Department of Corporations, NMLS 331060.
This is Nelson from Nelson Radio, and it's important that we talk about a very serious issue. We had bad lending practices that led to the mortgage meltdown, but now we've got the challenge of deplorable customer service coming out of the meltdown. Bottom line, getting a new loan can be like pulling teeth without Novocaine. I've got the solution. Academy Mortgage and my team are injecting into the industry real performance and real accountability. Here are the facts. Appraisals in less than a week. Rate guarantees that can improve if the market goes down. Purchase transactions with our market-exclusive close-on-time guarantees and refinance transactions in as little as 30 days. Who would have thunk? Guaranteed rates and guaranteed performance from your mortgage lender. Call me, Nelson, an accountable loan expert for nearly 3 decades, direct at 888-888-2136. That's Nelson at 888-888-2136, 888-888-2136, or at strongcreditrewards.com. Welcome back to Nelson Radio. This is Nelson. I'm with my special guest host, Beth Stein from Coldwell Banker, as she directs and leads the recovery of our real estate market.
Working on it.
Working on it. You're doing a great job,
sister.
One agent at a time. Look at the headlines that are flashing across the papers every day in terms of this economic recovery and this real estate recovery. And it's as we sat here and spent some time with listening to Ed Stapleton's story,
right.
Decorated World War II B-17 pilot that was a prisoner of war in Germany, and Ceitci, who has started the organization of Changing a Generation, where she's going back to her home country in Bulgaria and making a difference in educating the next generation so that they can put a stop, that they have the empowerment, the self-confidence, the economic undergirding to stop human trafficking, whether that's to sex or to the labor slavery. There's all sorts of ways that humans are trafficked, but just incredible perspective when you think about
education, training, changing the way people think. Change how people think.
Exactly. And so with that, we have our economic problems here, and it sounds almost insignificant or trivial.
Kind of pales in
we
comparison
have
in
our
some
legal
ways,
expert,
but not
Kelly
always.
Johnson, from the law offices of Kelly S. Johnson, and he's talking about bankruptcy.
Right.
And so many go into bankruptcy with that deer in headlights of my life is over.
Right. And I was talking earlier to Kelly because, there are a lot of people who hit the financial roadblock and they feel like their life, like everything's over, and there's a very high suicide rate amongst people who are having serious financial difficulties, and it everybody sees it in a different way and they see their life in a different way, but it's not over and there's a way to get through it. So an optimist believes they'll be able to rebound. So Kelly, how do you know if it's time to file a bankruptcy?
Well, people are having a variety of financial issues, not only today but over time. And basically, in evaluating where you're at and what your options are and what you need to do, if you're not satisfied with where you're at, you need to make somewhat of a business or a lifestyle decision in terms of do I want to keep doing this way, or do I want to do something different?
Right.
And that's, not just beating your head against the wall. I mean, I think that if you ask the question, Ed Stapleton, First Lieutenant Ed Stapleton, prisoner of war, or you're going to be forced into bankruptcy, what are you going to do? In that kind of backdrop, I think that bankruptcy, although it is severe, I've gone through a bankruptcy, so I know this first person of what it's like, and it was a traumatizing moment, certainly with the financial duress. But it was a moment where I was thinking, all right, now I'm wearing the scarlet A. I'm wearing the letter. I'm one of them. And it's not that way, is it, Kelly?
Not at all. Not at all. The people that are filing, typically there's some type of triggering event that causes it. People don't go in saying, I want to file bankruptcy. There's usually a need to do it. And that's typically when I recommend to people to file. If they need to do something as a result of a divorce, losing a job, a lot of time medical expenses are involved. So it's a situation typically that you don't want to happen, but you are, having to make a decision. Am I satisfied where I'm at, or do I want to do something different? That's typically what happens.
So how do you create that perspective? I mean, they're in the financial firefight. They're not thinking clearly. They're not seeing. They're essentially ducking underneath the barbed wire as live rounds are going off overhead. How do you draw that perspective for them?
Well, just like Ed, it's survival mode. It's where you're at, what's your situation, what's important in your life, financially, personally, etc., and the need once again to protect what's important. It's a survival instinct on a financial level.
It's interesting. You've twice said this. It's on the personal thing or a marriage or divorce. It's The biggest cause of breakups in relationships and marriages is financial, and it's a money thing. So how do you play marriage counselor to the majority of your clients?
Well, I'll tell you what. A lot of times you're holding hands. You're trying to walk people through a difficult time in their life, through a process that can potentially put them in a better position, and keeping in mind that the whole purpose, for example, of Chapter 7 is to get a fresh start. So you're trying to show them that where they are, they're not up against insurmountable odds. There are other options. There's things that they can do to put themselves in a better position and hopefully overcome those financial issues, try to keep their family together, and once again, focus on what's important. What are you trying to protect?
Beth, and that's so insightful, too, because you had mentioned this when we're on break, and that is that it's just a moment. And as you're in the moment, it seems like a lifetime. But once that season is past, it's just a blip on the radar. And this is the thing that I think that people lose perspective on. And I know this from the mortgage standpoint. I'm providing financing for people that had gone through bankruptcy and loss of home and foreclosure, but they're re-entering the credit market. Yeah, there's a period of time that they have to reestablish themselves, but people are re-entering, coming out of this recession and buying homes again and getting financing again.
It's a moment in time. Something happens, and then you just stop and move forward. You change your perspective. You change the way you're thinking. You do something different, because the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result.
Absolutely. It's a change, because whatever you were doing before wasn't working. So you need to do something different. And once again, consider your options. And bankruptcy may or may not be your best option, but depending upon your financial situation, it definitely could put you in a better position and lead towards that fresh start.
We're with Kelly Johnson from the law offices of Kelly S. Johnson, the bankruptcy expert for Nelson Radio. You can reach Kelly, Beth, or myself by calling 888-888-2136. That's 888 888-2136, or clicking through to Kelly through our website at nelsonradio.com. Kelly, you look at bankruptcy from two different vantage points, one going in and the other is exiting and re-injected into the marketplace. You do a lot of coaching of people, giving them that direction coming out of bankruptcy, don't you?
Absolutely. It's somewhat of an attitude type situation whereby you don't want people to be down. You don't want them to be depressed. In the old days, like you mentioned, it was kind of very derogatory to file bankruptcy. But nowadays, because of all the financial issues, the real estate market, et cetera, it's not uncommon for somebody to file bankruptcy. And by way of example, Nelson and Beth, I've had clients who have filed bankruptcy, Chapter 7, had nothing, and have gone on to partner and open large restaurant and bar chains that are now multi-state. Another client started, who was in the same industry, filed bankruptcy, came back, started his own company, and now has one of the largest sports-oriented companies that are providing a product to both youth baseball and high school. So it's good to see somebody come back and make something good happen.
There is life after bankruptcy.
Great insight. And as you drive around and you hear this kind of coaching, the theme that I hear following this focused look on perspective is acting on it. Yeah. Finding out counsel, reaching out to somebody like Kelly Johnson and saying, all right, yeah, let's assess your situation. Let's look at the entry in and the exit out of so that you do have the whole picture of what this particular season is going to look like. Kelly, great advice. Thanks for being with us. That's Kelly Johnson from the law offices of Kelly S. Johnson. You can reach us direct, 888-888-2136. That's 888-888-2136, or on our website, nelsonradio.com. We're moving up to the stump. Stump the experts. Hang in there with us.
Everyone loves a good mystery, but that's hardly the case when you're in a real estate transaction. With Title365.com, the mystery behind title insurance and escrow services has been kicked to the curb. You gain instant access to status and downloadable documents. Want customized real-time order information and documents as they happen 24/7, 365? No problem. And for the first time, Title365 is bringing together leading professionals working on your real estate transaction, so the process is even more transparent and efficient thanks to up-to-the-minute communication. You can even retrieve contact information for leading professionals offering real estate and home-related services right in your own community and learn more about title insurance all in one convenient place. Be sure to ask your local realtor, lender, or escrow officer about Title 365 or visit Title365.com. Mystery solved. Insurance Incorporated are the residential and apartment insurance experts. Unlike agencies that represent one carrier and can only provide one quote, Insurance Incorporated has appointments with the nation's leading insurance carriers, giving you the power of choice. This means more options and savings for you, offering coverage that's both comprehensive and affordable. Their policies for apartments include protection against loss or rents, accusation of wrongful eviction and wrongful entry, vandalism, theft, and slip and fall claims. Show your value as a property manager by being proactive, saving your clients' money and protecting their assets. They can even assist your tenants with renter's insurance. And homeowners, they can save you up to 40% on premiums, including often overlooked liability coverage. Insurance Incorporated are the residential and apartment insurance experts. Call.
This is Nelson from Nelson Real Estate Radio, and I want to have a very serious conversation with you. Let me paint the word picture. The drinks were innocent enough, just relaxing with friends. Really, I felt fine. Being drunk wasn't even a consideration. Then the rearview mirror lights up with the blue and red. The arrest, cuffed, and in jail. Really? Me? All too frequent, we wish in the somehow, someway category for a do-over, a mulligan to make a different decision. Let me introduce you to Orange County's office of Michael L. Feld. Nearly 2 decades serving in the Orange County District Attorney's Office as a prosecutor, now fighting for your rights in criminal defense. Recognized as one of Orange County's top 5 criminal defense attorneys, ready to represent you against his former colleagues. Save the embarrassment, the potential conviction, the record, the possible loss of job. Call Mike Feld direct for your legal mulligan, a chance to make it right. 949-278-5559. That's 949-278-5559 for the law office of Michael L. Feld. 949-278-5559, or you can text the letters OCDUI to 313131.
The Nelson Show is brought to you by Best Chauffeured. Best Chauffeured offers personal chauffeur services for corporate events, large and small, and all types of people, not just celebrities. So next time you just want to relax and enjoy the ride, please call on Best Chauffeured Worldwide. It's effortless transportation and first-class service every time. Call 866-323-BEST. That's 866-323-BEST or online at bestchauffeured.com. Mention KTLK's Nelson Show and receive a special discount. 866-323-BEST or online at bestchauffeured.com.
Welcome back. This is Nelson Radio. I'm with my guest host, Beth Stein, one of the leaders from Coldwell Banker, and that's leading the charge in changing our industry in many, many ways. We're in the Stump the Expert. You can reach out to us by calling 888-888-2136. That's 888-888-2136, or reaching out to us at nelsonradio.com. This segment brought to you by my mortgage company, Academy Mortgage. And the thing I like best about Academy Mortgage is accountability. They just do this old world business of doing what you say you're going to do. I find that fantastic, especially coming out of the mortgage sector, where usually it's the last liar wins, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So we have a couple of questions here, and this one I wanted to ask you right out the gate. With a quick run-up in values and question marks still remaining on our economy, should I be buying now?
Oh, that's a really good question. I mean, if you were waiting for the bottom of the market, you missed it. It's been and gone. It's time to get in there and get in the market. And I realized we've got a lot of multiple offers and we've got a lot of frustration. I know Jeff was talking about that earlier in the show, but you got to be patient. You got to find the right house. You need to be aggressive in what you're doing. And absolutely, you should be buying now.
Get while the getting's good.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely. There was another question that came in, and it said, for you specifically, with rates trending up, will the major refinance call centers, type mortgage companies go away?
Well, they're certainly going to be compromised. And we saw earlier this week, Ben Bernanke came out and talked about the economic plan for the Federal Reserve, and interest rates took a radical jump up. This was Wednesday of last week, and we saw interest rates move up by about 0.5% single day. Now, it may be an overreaction, but bottom line, the warning flare has been sounded, and interest rates are trending up.
Right.
They've bounced off the bottom. Now, are they going to skyrocket? I don't buy into it, but they're going to move higher. And so I think these refinance companies that are 90, 95, 100% refinance, they're going to be looking for something to do pretty quick.
Yeah, but and also with interest rates going up, that's another reason to buy now.
Exactly. And we talked about this last week with the impact on just a 0.5% jump in interest rate adds about $55,000 to a traditional mortgage. So it's real money. Check this question out. I'm so glad you're going to answer this. It says there's a delay in our closing. My agent says it's the lender. My lender says it's the agent. Either way, the seller is still pissed. What do I do?
Dodge the bullets. No, this is not uncommon. We're in a strange marketplace right now. We've got sellers who are angry because they feel like they haven't gotten enough because their neighbor's selling the same house, down the street for a lot more. A month later, we've got buyers who feel like they're paying too much because they've been in multiple offers. And then you have delays and you just have to be the calm in the center of the storm by playing into everybody's anger and making everybody, I found it's the same thing where you have some assistants who work for people and they take on the attitude of the people they're working with. You can't let that be you. You must be calm. You've got to be like a duck, calm above and paddling like the Dickens underneath.
Like a duck. I love it. That's Stump the Experts. We haven't been stumped. You need to send in more questions and tougher questions. We'll address them. We'll give you clear direction on what to do. The Stump the Experts brought to you by Academy Mortgage, providing that close-on-time financing. I love that. 888-888-2136. You can reach us direct. 888-888-2136. As we close out the show, I want to shift our focus to Treasures of Africa. As my son travels to Africa right now, in air, traveling down to South Africa and into Malawi. Treasures of Africa is down in Moshi, Tanzania, and they have this precious, precious child, little Samueli. Mother passed away when he was only 4 years old. His father abandoned him when he was a baby. He has a 6-year-old sister, and get this, a 12-year-old aunt.
Oh, my God.
And they were living with their great-grandmother who had no capacity to take care of them. Treasures of Africa brought all the children into their orphanage, and they're now being provided, the resources of clean drinking water and food and education and a safe place to stay. But they are following really Ceitci's calling, which is changing the generation. Treasures of Africa is bringing these children up to come back into their community and be difference makers.
He's really a remarkable kid.
Little Samuel, he wants to grow up and become a pilot. Mm-hmm. Maybe not after listening to Ed's story.
Maybe not.
Maybe not. But if you have this kind of perspective, you need to reach out and help support Samueli and support Treasures of Africa. It's a minimal investment. You can choose your investment of $20 a month, $30 a month. It's a fantastic organization that's creating perspective and developing these kids to come back and be difference makers. And what a show.
Yeah.
What a show. Ed Stapleton, Ceitci Demirkova. There we go. I got a thumbs up. I said the name right. From Changing a Generation. And of course, Kelly Johnson drawing the lines that, there's a place and time for bankruptcy. It can be traumatic, but he's coaching his customers, his clients on how to successfully go in and how to successfully emerge out of. And I think Kelly's counsel is absolutely spot on.
What a remarkable, remarkable show. And of course, Academy Mortgage.
Academy Mortgage, close on time financing. Thanks for listening to us, and thanks to our fantastic producer, Phil Giangron.
Thanks, Phil.
We appreciate you. Academy Mortgage and Nelson Radio. You can reach us direct. 888-888-2136. That's 888-888-2136. Tell your friends. Right here on Saturday afternoons from 2 to 3. KTLK AM 1150. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you next week.
Nelson is a licensed lender under the California Department of Corporations, NMLS 331060.
This is Nelson from Nelson Radio, and it's important that we talk about a very serious issue. We had bad lending practices that led to the mortgage meltdown, but now we've got the challenge of deplorable customer service coming out of the meltdown. Bottom line, getting a new loan can be like pulling teeth without Novocaine. I've got the solution. Academy Mortgage and my team are injecting into the industry real performance and real accountability. Here are the facts. Appraisals in less than a week. Rate guarantees that can improve if the market goes down. Purchase transactions with our market-exclusive close-on-time guarantees and refinance transactions in as little as 30 days. Who would have thunk? Guaranteed rates and guaranteed performance from your mortgage lender. Call me, Nelson, an accountable loan expert for nearly 3 decades, direct at 888-888-2136. That's Nelson at 888-888-2136, 888-888-2136, or at strongcreditrewards.com.